Hi, I'm Krista.
And I'm Sarah.
And we have this podcast called Have We Talked About? Where two friends at different points in their lives chat about everything in their lives.
From current events to pop culture, from self-care to self-indulgence, and everything in between.
Join us weekly to see what we talk about next. Hey girl.
Hey Krista, how are ya?
I'm good. Happy to hear from you again.
Nice to hear from you, and we're back, baby.
We're back. We've been going strong, and I'm feeling very confident because we've both invested in proper mics. So feeling extra potty today.
Hopefully the listeners appreciate it, and the sound is clear and good for them on their end.
Absolutely. So apologies ahead of time that we do acknowledge that our older podcast episodes do have shitty audio quality, but we're getting there. We're getting more profesh. Yeah. This whole thing is a big learning experience.
And again, this isn't our realm of specialty, where we don't specialize in this at all. So Krista and I are just learning the ropes and learning how to do this. So we appreciate your continuous support.
Well, what's the threshold? What's the timeline where we can't say that anymore? Because we're well into it now. We are, I think, way past 10 episodes or at 10 episodes at this point. So at what point do we say, hey, we're not new, but we're not veterans. We're just meeting expectations.
I don't know. Is there a number? I don't know.
Using my professional career as a barometer, I would say at the 6-month point, you have a good grasp of what you're doing.
Got it.
So we're not there yet.
No, not at all. No.
But always open to feedback because we want to be able to get better and grow. So
absolutely.
If our audio is shit, or if we talk too fast, or like me,
which we do, which I do.
Yeah. I'm learning to slow down. But I acknowledge I use like too much. I use too much. I stutter like a mofo. My mind moves faster than my lips, but same. I don't care.
No.
I'm going to do the damn thing.
Exactly. So, Krista, I'm really excited about the topic that we're chatting about today. I think people are going to be upset with us, angry. They're going to laugh. I'm interested to see where this goes. So, Krista, what are we chatting about today?
So, let me choose my words carefully here. We want to talk about things that have very strong social followings, like cult-like followings, that either are products or services or activities that draw such a big group of people that we almost consider them cults. And I want to talk about what the actual characteristics are of a cult against some of these things to see if maybe we're being bamboozled. Maybe cults are, kind of infiltrating the mainstream and we don't even realize.
Yeah. And to preference, this is our personal opinions and personal views.
Of course.
So people, you can come at us, but just remember, this is our personal views on this topic.
That's a good call out. And I think for a lot of the topics that this is just opinions based on our life experience. We don't claim to be experts.
No.
But we're human beings, sentient beings who have thoughts and communicate and share. So we're open to opposition always and expect to get a lot given. I think the first one we should talk about is the one where we are definitely not part of the following. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea what I might be referring to, Sarah?
Absolutely. And before we jump into that, I think a few of them I might have been a follower at a time, so which we will go into. But for this particular one, I think we're going to be chatting about the Apple brand. Am I right, Krista? Is that the one you wanted to start with?
Yeah, I think that's a good one because that probably has had a very strong following for, I don't know, when did the iPhone specifically, I don't think MacBooks were a big thing. I think MacBooks started out on the fringe of like, at least when I was in university, people that had MacBooks, you're like, oh, you're a weirdo, right? Like, why do you have a MacBook? And then the iPhone kind of came in the 2000s and changed the game.
Early 2000s. Yeah, for sure. And I think when the first iPhone was released, I think it was super cool, super innovative, super awesome. Also, just a preference, Krista and I do not have iPhones.
Never. We'll never get an iPhone.
Never. And that's just who we are, and that's fine. But I think over time and over the years, like a lot of technology, they piggyback and they take maybe other companies' tech ideas and things like that. But I think to start, it was the first like smartphone that did a whole bunch of wicked things. Like, I think they were the first.
I don't know.
So I'll give them credit for that.
I don't know if they were the first, but they were the best at marketing it.
True.
So what kind of phone, when the first iPhone came out, what kind of phone did you have?
Oh, like a Blackberry probably?
Yeah, I had a Blackberry as well. I love my Blackberry though, by the way.
Yeah.
I miss a Blackberry keyboard.
Yeah. And currently Krista and I both have Samsungs.
Yeah. So we're Androids till we die. This is probably why our friendship continues to go so strong. In a work environment where everybody wants an iPhone and a MacBook.
Yeah. Well, and like, granted, I've had the iPod, I've had the iPad, I've had the MacBook. I just never have got the iPhone. And that's just my personal opinion.
If you got one for free, would you use it?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Because they're very expensive. Like, they're not cheap. I think they're the most expensive phone out there nowadays. I just think that their following is very strong, and I feel like once you have an iPhone specifically, because then you need like I think it's called like the iOS, and you back up everything, and I don't know. I feel like once you have your, cloud all set up and everything, it's very hard for consumers to move to different cell phone brands. It's very hard to move all your crap.
They've made it easier. I will say that. They have developed technology to maybe not to move an iPhone to an Android, but definitely to move your Android data to your iPhone, because my mom recently made that change. And that's just because it was part of my sister's plan, because they all have iPhones. I'm the only one, me and my dad are the only ones in the family who don't have iPhones. And then every time I go to like a family gathering and like have my cousins around, they're always ribbing me for the fact that I don't have an iPhone. And it's like, I get it. You don't want to have to think while you use your technology, but I also want to be able to find my shit and not tell me that it's been in the cloud and I can't get it back out. Yeah. And every time I delete someone's number and get a new phone, it pops back up. Like, I want full control of, everything in my phone, which is why I choose to use an Android.
Same. And I go into my cloud probably on a daily basis to get something or look at something or something. And I have no idea how to do that on my phone. And maybe it's easier. Granted, maybe it's easier nowadays. Fine. But I think that Androids, the tech is more innovative. And I think Androids are more customizable compared to iPhones.
That's true.
I think iPhones are pretty standard and basic. And that's fine. I maybe think potentially their security might be a little bit better than Androids. But at the end of the day, I think it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use, and Androids are a little more complex and customizable, and that's what I think.
I agree. I think what you're calling out here is that the iPhone is a little bit more of a closed system, so based on that, they can be more secure. Whereas when you have something that's more customizable and open to a lot of different software, gadgets, and apps like an Android, it does open up the aspect of like security breaches and hacking and all that kind of stuff. So, you take that chance when you go out of the iPhone world. However, iPhone has built their products on the idea that every 1 to 2 years, maybe, I don't know the exact stats there, is that you're forced to upgrade because the operating system doesn't support new things. And you need new phones, you need new software. Now you need an adapter that goes into your port so that you can charge and listen to music at the same time. Yeah. They have been really good at keeping people kind of stuck in that environment where it's like, you don't have a choice.
You have to buy the next one. Yeah.
We don't give you earphones or a plug anymore. You need to buy that. Not a plug, an adapter.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think Androids are moving away from that as well. I think all the phones are moving away from that, which is just ridiculous, but it is what it is.
You mean like a headphone jack?
Yeah, and also like to charge your phone. Like when you buy a new Samsung or a new Android now, that doesn't come with it.
Right. The accessories part is all something you have to buy separately.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like when you tell somebody, number one, you don't have an iPhone, or number two, you've never had an iPhone, like their brain explodes.
Yeah.
They're
Agreed.
like, what? You've never? How do you live? And it's just like, girl, I live. I live really well, thank you.
Right. The amount of times that you text somebody and they say, oh, your bubble's not blue or it's green. Oh, you must be an Android person. Let's move this to WhatsApp because it's too disconcerting to my eyes to see that there's two different chat bubble colors. It's like, okay. I mean, that's cool. I probably am going to have to help you with something on Excel later, Susan. But okay, if you need to use WhatsApp...
then that's fine. I also love the commercials. I think that potentially Samsung has come out with, like, of recently over the past few years, of them kind of bashing Apple. Like, they'll say like, oh, you know, Apple has this cool new feature, and Samsung's like, we've had that for 5 years already. Like, it's crazy that, like, I think it was fast charging came out with Samsung like years ago, and then I feel like recently in the last couple of years Apple just came out with it and people are like, oh my god, this is amazing, and Android users are like, we've had this for a long time, y'all.
Or other features that they don't even talk about that Android has. Well, at least Samsung. I can't speak of for Android. Like, I don't know if Google Pixel phones have it, but like on my phone I can do split screen. I can do 2 apps at the same time. I can surf the net and watch a YouTube video, you know, even though now it can be like picture in picture. It's like I've had that for years, and I know iPhone will come out with that and act like brand new innovative, and it's like, it's been done before.
Yeah, and I also feel like people are like, "Oh my god, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen." And then when an Android user will tell an iPhone user, "Oh no, wait, we've had that." No, you haven't. This is different. This is different. It's like, it's not. Like,
it's probably not as good.
Yeah, no, exactly. I like the scheduled text feature. I use that often.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Scheduled text. I've never used that.
Yeah. Oh my god, I use it weekly.
So tell me more about that. So that we can piss off iPhone viewers, listeners.
If you're texting somebody and you like type out your text, you can click on schedule text and select the date and time when you want the text to go through. Bada boom, bada bing, it'll go through at that date and time.
Damn, all those happy birthday texts that I need to send out. There's some birthdays coming up.
Yeah, schedule it. Boom. You're a good friend.
Shit, learning something new. I mean, I definitely use that in my work life. Anybody who's used Teams or Slack has definitely scheduled messages to go out. Yeah.
For sure.
I didn't know I could do it with my personal phone.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I don't know. That's just our personal opinion. I feel like on iPhones, people are just drinking the juice and just they think that, and sure, they might have some features that are innovative and new and different, fine, but I think overall, Android has probably done it and has had it for a few years prior to Apple releasing the new feature.
I have had people who have had iPhones for a long time feel frustration and pissed off and then come to me and say, should I change?
Ooh.
And I've actually said to them, if you've been using an iPhone for like as long as you can remember in terms of a phone, it is going to be too difficult for you to make that mindset shift. So don't do it.
Yeah. Valid. That's valid. And it's also like, what are you using your phone for?
Everything.
Right? Like, but if you're, I don't know, if you're potentially maybe, and I'm throwing it out there, I'm speculating, right, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If you're maybe older, potentially an iPhone would be just easier to use. You don't care about the customization. You don't care about all that crap. You don't really care about the camera that much, things like that, right? You got to figure out how you're using your phone. Like, I really like a really good camera on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's important to me. And I find the Samsungs are very good.
I like all the options for technological advancements. Like, I like at any point from my Android, I can like cast. I don't need to AirPlay. I don't need all that kind of stuff. Like, I just need a receiver, and then at any point I can like cast to my TV from something that I'm watching on my phone.
Oh, I do that daily.
Yeah.
And I back up. I do all my like cloud-based stuff either through the Samsung or I just do it through Google, so I can access it easily.
Got it.
Yeah.
So if I can just like kind of not change gears, but when we say like cult following, I did pull up some interesting characteristics of a cult so that we could kind of little jokingly compare some of these cult followings with what is actually considered part of a cult. So one of the main characteristics is a charismatic leader. So for an Apple or an iPhone, would we say that there was I wouldn't call him charismatic, but was there like a leader? Like, who do we think of when we think of the iPhone? We think of Steve Jobs, right?
Yeah.
We think of those big dad bod sneakers, that black turtleneck, the dad fit jeans.
Totally.
Another characteristic is ideological purity. So there's this idea where the followers don't question the belief. So in this case, we'll say the product, that you can't doubt its capabilities. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Conformity and control.
To a point.
So I would say for that, it would be conformity and control in the fact that iPhone is the same. It may change in size, but it looks exactly the same. You have no ability to change or customize how it looks, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can't change the setup or anything like that. And Apple controls like how you use it and how quickly you have to update it. It doesn't give you any freedom in terms of moving outside of this closed system. This is where it probably kind of diverts from a cult, like mind-altering practices. That's more specific maybe to actual like a religious type of cults.
Yeah.
Isolation and love bombing. So this is where it creates this social exclusion of people that are not believers to create this division of like isolating from those that don't believe.
Yeah.
Those that don't believe in the iPhone. And praising it, being like, it's amazing, and it creates a us versus them mentality. Mm-hmm. And I think that definitely speaks to an iPhone and iPhone people.
Yeah.
So much so that they don't actually even realize that it's creating that. It's like, oh, you're an Android? Oh, poor you. Because there's...
Yeah. And they look down on you. Oh, you have an Android? Oh, okay.
It creates this social construct of like rich versus poor. Where it's
totally.
Like, oh, I'm rich. And I'm like, oh, no, you signed up to a 3-year plan, so you didn't have to pay for the phone. Like, you didn't pay for this phone out of your pocket.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can talk through some other ones and kind of see if they feel a little bit culty.
Okay. What other ones, whether maybe companies or products, do you feel like are a little on the culty side?
An up-and-coming cult, probably, that had a smaller following that's gaining a lot of traction is probably like Tesla.
Yep.
Charismatic leader.
I think so.
What say you, Elon Musk? I don't know if there's an ideological purity with Tesla, because I think he's very open to all car companies investing in electric vehicles, not just that being the standard.
But I think if you have a Tesla and if you drive a Tesla, you have the mindset that I'm better than everyone else.
Right. There's the us versus them for sure.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, I've definitely seen TikTok, especially in where we live, that people will spend hours at the charging stations charging their cars on the weekends. Oh. And there's lineups. I've seen TikToks.
Really?
And I'm just like, is that what you're doing with your time, people? So you're driving during the week, fine. And then you're like, oh, I gotta, sit in my car for, I don't know, how long it takes to charge my car because I don't have a charging thingy at home. So I need to go to like the public charging stations to charge my car. I don't have time for that.
I wonder where these stations are located. So, I've done my own deep dive into Elon Musk and Tesla because I'm a person that I wouldn't consider myself an early adopter of technology, but I definitely give it the benefit of the doubt. So I looked at Tesla and Tesla cars, and I'm not opposed to them. I don't think one is better than the other. I think they both can serve. If I had the choice, I would have both an electric car and a gas car, right? Gas prices are up, going electric. A power outage, I'm going back to gas. Like, I always want that choice. But in terms of people lining up for charging, that means that you're too poor to actually afford the car, because why would you ever not have the charger at home?
So you can say to people you have a Tesla, but in reality, like, come on.
But the super powered charging stations, you shouldn't have to be there more than an hour to charge. Yeah. So that to me is like, that's crazy.
Crazy.
But yeah, in order to be perceived as rich or better, you're willing to basically afford something that clearly you cannot afford.
Exactly. And I'm sure the cars are very expensive to buy. I'm sure the cars are very expensive to do all the repairs because there's a lot of technology in that car.
But
so if something goes down.
Yeah, exactly. You're putting in a new battery. I don't even know.
I don't even know.
I was going to look up the base model. I looked up the base model of the Tesla the other day. Not the other day, a few months ago. And it was something like, I want to say between 50 and 80,000. That's a big gap. Canadian dollars.
For like a car?
Yeah, for like the base model.
Yeah, which is expensive.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, I personally think Tesla is kind of in the, cultish arena.
Yeah, there's definitely an us versus them mentality about it. Yeah, the base model is like $55,000.
Right.
Canadian. And then you add all these things like all-wheel drive and shit like that, and then it jumps up to like 75,000.
Real quick.
Real fucking quick. Yeah, purchase price 75,000.
That's expensive. That's very expensive for a car in Canada. For a car. Yeah. That's not an SUV. That's not a truck. That's not a van. Like, that's expensive.
But the financing must be amazing, because I can tell you that I take Uber quite a bit because I have to commute to different areas in the greater Toronto area. And I've been in Ubers that have been Tesla more than cars at this point.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I kid you not. Like, every other one in 3 rides, it's always a Tesla, always a Model 3. And I fucking hate sitting in the back of a Model 3 Tesla because the suspension, granted, guys, I know nothing about cars. I'm just telling you what I feel when I go. It's a bouncy fucking ride. I am a person that is not tall but have a tall torso. So in a car, I appear very tall. So my head is practically at the roof. And the way that the Model 3 is, it's like a sloped dome. So, and a sunroof. So my head is like almost like out of the car. And if you've ever, maybe you haven't been in a Tesla, even how you get into the car is annoying. There's no handle. Yeah. You're pressing a button. You're pressing what would be the handle for the other side to come out for you to pull on to open the door. And then the windows go down.
Interesting.
It's this whole thing.
Futuristic, I feel like.
But it just, like, sometimes we're over engineering things, Elon. And I think, like, handles are important. Like, just like when people are like, I don't need a watch, I use my phone. I go, but in the time it takes you to go in your pocket to get out your phone, I've already flicked my wrist and I know what time it is. So, like, let's normalize bringing back door handles, because I don't understand something that just required me to lift it up now requires me to push a button, have dexterity now to reach the other side, then the fucking window goes down, like we're in a snowstorm, what the fuck, and then to get out of the car again, I'm pushing a button to push the door.
That's so interesting.
Is that to keep children from getting out of the back of the car? Like,
I don't know. He has a lot, so maybe he's thinking about it. I doubt it, but
anyway, I mean, I love you, Elon. So this is just constructive feedback.
Of course.
Yeah.
I also feel like a potential, cult-like company, let's say, brand, let's say, is Disney. I feel like the Disney people
go hard.
Disney adults, the Disney families. Damn, that's expensive.
Have you been to Disney with your child or alone?
I have not been to Disney with my child. I have been to Orlando, and I was like, you are not going to remember this, and it's going to be hell with my 2-year-old, so I am not taking you. Would I have loved it? Absolutely. But I just think the Disney prices, the Disney merch, the Disney Mickey ears, the Disney lounge fly backpacks, all that shit is so expensive.
What the fuck is a lounge fly backpack?
It's like the little backpack and like the specific and they come out with like limited edition, they come out for specific like holidays or characters, or it's like the small backpack that like literally everyone has.
I'm having to Google this right now.
Yeah. They're so expensive, but again, limited edition. Oh my God, we have to get it,
That's insane. I used to have an employee that was a diehard Disney fan and would go at least once a year to the Disney park.
Like, I get it. It's awesome. But like the amount of money, like that's a lot. And also like if something changes or something happens, like I think a few months ago, at the beginning of the year, Splash Mountain at Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom closed down. So the last day, everyone wanted to ride it so they could, post it on social media and TikTok and Instagram and everything. And I think the lineup was like hours long because it was, the last day it was going to be open because it's been around for years and years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
And they're changing it. But I just think the whole Disney thing is just, it's a little much, people.
Would we say that this Disney follows some of the characteristics of a cult? Like, who's the charismatic leader of Disney World? Would we say that's Mickey Mouse? And knowing that Mickey Mouse is becoming figment of your imagination, does that change the dynamic that is Disney World?
I don't know if it's Mickey Mouse or... because I feel like they had a CEO recently, and I think they got rid of him. And I'm pretty sure that CEO raised all the prices and tried to broaden lightning lanes and broaden all this bullshit that consumers needed to pay more.
What's a lightning lane? This is all technology. I mean, terms. Is that just a queue that makes you move in faster into the park?
You have to pay for specific rides to take advantage of it.
There's some elitism there.
Oh, for sure.
There's a social class construct embedded within the Disney World experience.
Yeah, and they also have that, like, I don't know what it's called. Sorry, Disney people out there. That, like, VIP, very exclusive club at Disney that you have to be invited to. I forget what it's called.
Like, is that
club,
for, like,
something?
Hollywood people and, like,
Probably.
very rich people, I would imagine.
Probably. So and don't get me wrong, I like Disney and I usually stay up to date and like I'm down to go to Disney whenever. I just think that it's a little crazy. It's a little pricey. And you look at TikToks like every day and like the park is jammed and I'm literally like, how are these people affording this?
They've saved.
How are they affording like the merchandise and the ticket prices and the food and everything that goes into it for one day? I don't get it.
Those are great questions. Yeah, I have no idea. But they definitely have like a system, and I would say in terms of working as an employee, like it's heavily indoctrinated and controlled in terms of how you behave, how you walk around in the park, how you talk to customers, like that whole training. There's like a bit of a brainwash there that I think has to be acknowledged, where they have to follow a certain protocol.
And I think the diehard Disney fans and the Disney adults are drinking some sort of Disney Kool-Aid that they don't care. They're going to be there. They're going to support whatever they need to support.
I hope those people are paid well.
Yeah. Valid.
So let's switch gears and move from walking around all day to in an amusement park to like sitting all day on like a bike and talk about Peloton for a little bit.
Yeah, because I feel like, especially when the pandemic hit and everyone went into lockdown, I personally feel like Peloton really took off. It was great timing for them, I think.
Agreed. It became a thing where you're like, oh, what did you do today? I'm like, oh, I just jumped on my Peloton. I'm going to Peloton later.
Yeah, right? Totally. And like, I don't know if you know, but like the Peloton bike and like the Peloton classes or whatever they are very, very expensive.
Yes. I don't have a price point for it, but I remember when it first came out, I was like, what? And then a lot of celebrities got on the bandwagon of like doing joint ventures.
Yeah.
But as quickly as it rose is as quickly as it fell.
100%. I think it was only popular, I think, like right when the pandemic hit, and then maybe until 2021, beginning of 2022, and then it fell really quickly. But it was very popular. Everyone was talking about it. People were trying to buy it. There was back orders, whatever. Yeah. Because people wanted to be included in that. They didn't want to miss it. But I feel like now, in today's world, people barely talk about it now.
Do you think that it wasn't able to keep the cult following because they didn't have a charismatic leader?
I don't know. Do they?
I don't think they do. Maybe that.
Or I just feel like the timing. I think the timing also played a huge indicator. People were at home. People were like, oh my God, I need to work out. I need to go to the gym. Can't go to the gym. Gym's closed, especially in Canada.
True. But we can go. I mean, people are still working remote now.
Valid. But people are getting their lives back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So maybe because they didn't have a strong cult-like leader, it didn't succeed.
Yeah, I mean, people obviously who still have a Peloton bike didn't return it and are still using it, but it doesn't have the same punch when they say they've jumped on their Peloton because nobody cares. They're like, okay, cool.
But I'm like, are they still using it, or they used it as a catch-all for their clothes?
I have a friend who bought a Peloton. She still uses it. I can't stand bikes and bike classes. They always create a pain in my body that I never had before. So I can't do those type of classes. I would love to, like spinning and shit, just as something different, but it's just not my bag.
Yeah, valid. That's valid. So yeah, I think that one was at a very short time was a cult-ish, and they had a lot of following. They became popular very quickly. But then they fell very quickly.
Because they didn't have a leader, guys. Just
Rule number 1.
Yeah.
What else do you think is kind of one?
I think this one always gets every other year or so gets brought up as something that's heavily cultish, just like multi-level media or multi-level marketing companies.
Pyramid schemes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want to call it that. They always come up. There's always a new version where it's like, no, we're not like this. We're totally different. We believe in our product, but we just want you to sell the product, but also be your own manager and recruit people to sell under your team.
Underneath you. So it's like a pyramid.
And then you'll get a kickback. That reminds me of that Office episode where...
Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Michael Scott is like, yeah, no, it's different. And then Jim just
draws the triangle.
Yeah, exactly. The oldest one I think that's around is like Mary Kay and like Avon.
Yeah, I think they've been around for a very long time. Have you seen the documentary on Netflix called LuLaRoe? I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Is that the leggings one?
Yes.
I mean, we didn't have LuLaRoe in Canada, though.
No, we did not. But I was very invested in the documentary the entire time, and my mind was blown. So anyone out there, if you want to know what we're talking about, go to Netflix, type in LuLaRoe. It is excellent and crazy.
But like, talk about drinking the Kool-Aid. It's just like, what?
100%.
I think that documentary came out during the pandemic, so everybody.
I think you're right. Right.
Ish.
Do you know anyone that is currently a seller or a boss in an MLM or pyramid scheme?
Currently no, but Not that I know of. But I've been recruited by somebody that I've been attempted to be recruited by somebody that I worked with many companies ago, who I considered like a mentor, somebody I looked up to because of what her role was within the organization. So she invites me to a coffee during work one day, and I'm like, oh, we're just going to like talk about work stuff, because she was a project manager and I was trying to like understand that role, see if it was something that interested in me. She pulls out her laptop and pulls out a CD to basically sit and have me watch this MLM type
Oh my God.
of video. Yeah. And she was in it. She was all the way in. She may still be now, but she doesn't talk about it as much like on her social media. Yikes. I can't remember what it's called, but you're like, you can get a good discount on your phone plan, and this plan, you get a discount on all your bills. And I'm just like,
really? Okay.
If you want to destroy a friendship with me, try and recruit me into some of that shit, and you see how fast I never talk to you again.
100%.
I have another, I don't want to say friend, but on the friendship scale, more than an acquaintance, but not quite a close friend, who was selling these wraps, these weight loss wraps, where you take these like saran wrap like things and wrap around different parts of your body, and it was supposed to like stimulate like weight loss.
Okay.
Yeah. She was trying to sell that for a while.
I have someone that I went to high school with. She probably contacts me every few years. I think she is a individual that works for Arbonne. I think that's what it's called.
Arbonne. Mm-hmm.
That's it. I swear to God, she contacts me every few years and be like, oh my God, hey, how are you? And I'm like, bitch, I've told you multiple times I'm not interested. My mind has not changed 4 years later. I'm not interested. Delete.
I mean, it's such a marketing scheme.
Like the
for,
hustle,
like,
good for you,
moms.
But like, no. I know, totally.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a
like
while, I'm happy
like
to
they target,
order a deodorant.
No, totally. But I also feel like they target like females, especially, like stay-at-home moms. And I'm just like,
be your own boss.
Oh, go away. Yeah, I think they are truly a cult.
Going back to the MLM that sells those wraps, those weight loss saran wrap type of things, it's called It Works. So be on the lookout for that. Yeah, it's called It Works.
I've never heard of that before.
You will now that I've said that.
But I feel like if you are in one of those MLMs, you are drinking the Kool-Aid.
1,000%. And I want to acknowledge those that are successful. I'm not taking away from your success. But
valid.
We recognize that there is a point of saturation within these type of structures where those that come in too late don't make any money.
Yeah. There's only like a very few percentage that are actually making bank on it.
Exactly.
As outlined in the LuLaRoe documentary.
Yeah, they had a good explanation of how it works, where it's like, that makes sense. You come in too late and you're just trying to break even with your inventory and recruiting and
exactly.
It's a new Tupperware party, right? Tupperware parties, I think, predate us. I've seen people on Facebook still do them. I don't even know how that's a thing, but
I've definitely been invited to stuff on Facebook, and I'm literally like, decline. Thank you.
Ooh, yeah.
Anything else that we would consider?
I think that we've been talking a lot about drinking the Kool-Aid, and I think that specifically speaks to work environments.
Yeah.
And how far in you will be a part of the groupthink mentality of a company, which is great. It's not a bad thing, but it has its negatives when the company is probably toxic. And drinking the Kool-Aid sometimes looks to me as toxic positivity. And I've talked about this a little bit before, where the building is burning and everybody's like, no, guys, it's just a little hot in here. We're just all going to get like a bucket of water and we're just going to figure it out. When literally the building is on fucking fire. And people are so bent on believing in whatever it is, the higher belief, that they have blinders on to what's really going on.
100%. Yeah. Do you feel like at a time in your life you drank the Kool-Aid?
Oh, yeah. Well, I wanted to drink the Kool-Aid, but I've always been a person that's not a follower. So if I believe in something, I will definitely do my best to show up in a way that is supportive. But I do always have something in the back of my mind where I don't go all into anything until I feel a level of trust. But like my first job out of school, I was like, it had structure, it had opportunities for growth. So from that standpoint, I was all in. But at the same time, I saw opportunities and gaps and bottlenecks. And me being the person that I was, if I believe in something, I want to give you both positive and constructive feedback. So in that instance, within that environment, not necessarily the company's fault, when I would bring those up, I got a label as being negative, like a detractor.
Right.
So yeah, I would say that's as far as I go in terms of drinking the Kool-Aid.
I feel like I've definitely drank the Kool-Aid, but then there comes a point where I think like took a step back and I was like, wait, this isn't right. This doesn't seem good. This doesn't seem right. And then my blinders came off, and then you could see what was going on. You're like, now I understand.
When was this?
I feel like at most companies, especially at the beginning, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. This is so much fun. This is great. This is awesome. I love this. I love this. But then, things start to, like an onion, they start to peel back and you start to recognize things.
Like that thread in your sweater. Like sometimes you're able to just pop that thread and nothing, everything is fine. But then there's always that one thread where you're like, my whole shit is falling apart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What are some other things that you think are, well, we want to be very careful, but what are some other things that are considered cultish?
Ooh, I feel like we went through a lot of mine.
Like, what about Scientology?
I don't know if I want to talk about that. We can just say it. They might come after us.
I don't know enough, but on face value, there seem to be a lot of things that associate Scientology with the characteristics of a cult.
Yeah.
Leah Remini has a great documentary on that about Going Clear.
Yeah.
So it's up to the listeners to do their own research. But this is what I do want to say about cults, is that a lot of the cults provide tools and resources and training to make people better. And in a lot of instances, they do. They help them overcome challenges, impediments, and disabilities to be stronger, to be more resilient, to be more confident. However, within these cults, there's always something nefarious happening behind the scenes. So there's this tit for tat that happens that you don't realize, where it's like, I've made you a better person. Now, why don't you just suck my dick? Yeah. Right? Or something like just incredibly appalling that people don't want to acknowledge because they're so far indoctrinated that they're like, no, everything is good. Everything is awesome. And they refuse to recognize that there could be some darkness within certain organizations. So this is not specific to Scientology.
No, but I give Leah Remini, is that her name? I give her like standing ovation for coming out, for escaping that, because she was involved in that for many, many, many years, and talking so in depth about it and having interviews about it. Like, good for her. She probably got so much backlash. She's probably got people after her, but she wanted to set the record straight.
Because in that instance, there's a lot of there's a us versus them. There is an isolation aspect, like a shunning. So if you, I don't remember the terminology they use for somebody that's like a detractor, right? Like they call a suppressive. So it was a big decision for her to leave because she grew up within it, right? She says another thing to watch, which is very also interesting and enlightening, is her interview with Joe Rogan, which she's done, 4 or 5 years ago now. And she stopped going to school at 14 because that's part of their ideology, is that you should be contributing to society. You should be doing a certain amount of community service in a day. So she was working within their office from like the age of 14. There's all these courses that get more expensive every year that take you to this higher level of consciousness. And she made it all the way to the top. But her family was so entrenched in it that her walking away would mean losing her family members.
That's
and
crazy.
They also, her mom made it all the way up to the top, I think, as well. But when she made that decision, they all left with her, interestingly enough. And I'm not 1,000% sure, but she has a very close relationship with J-Lo, who I love, Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez's dad, don't know if he currently is, but was a Scientologist. So I'm not sure if that's even how they became to be friends. But yeah, that's a bit of a connection point there, interestingly enough. But I enjoyed Tom Cruise movies. Want to shout him out. Nothing against him. He is he's become the face, not recently, but had been for the organization, because I don't know if they call themselves a religion. And I'm sure he's a nice guy.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. I hope he has a relationship with his daughter.
Ooh, Isabel?
No.
Oh, Suri.
That's
Is that her name? Because he has 2 adoptive. He has Connor and Isabella with Nicole Kidman. Connor, I think, is still with him. I think Isabella maybe not as much, because I don't know if she's within the organization anymore. I don't know what to call it. And then Well, they're suppressives, so I'm not sure. I think they probably bend the rules.
Maybe. But yeah, that's a good one. Yeek.
Yeah. So, again, everybody draw their own conclusions. We're not going to say anything further about
it. We're scared.
One thing that we did talk about in previous episodes is like in terms of friendships is like fraternities and sororities.
Yep.
And I don't feel like I have enough information to say if it's culty, because I only have movie references.
Because we're in Canada and we don't really have that here in Canada. We know it's very big in the US.
Yeah.
But I can't say either. But from an outsider's point of view, it seems a little culty, and like if you're within if you're in that type of group and someone else isn't, maybe your nose is a little more stuck up to that person.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's definitely, and there's like a social us versus them hierarchy or construct. I think they heavily rely on ceremonies and like certain ideologies of like, you're loyal to your sister first, you're loyal to your brother first, go through all these experiences, like bonding experiences, like, you don't speak of this outside of these walls, and have these type of ceremonies and meetings. But again, I don't have enough information to say yay or nay. So listeners, please chime in here where there's no leader that we know of, except like there's chapter leaders. So there's somebody that has to create the structure. But it does have some interesting optics that suggests that it could have it definitely has cult-like followings, because people go hard for their fraternities and sororities well into their married life. I don't know if they still do it as seniors, but it definitely has longevity.
Yeah, I agree. Please let us know. Anything else that we feel like could be potentially a cult-like thing?
I think we talked about like religious groups. We don't necessarily have to, Scientology. I don't know if that's considered a religion, but then it speaks to like Amish. There's definitely that aspect of, following a certain indoctrination, the aspect of shunning. There's some type of leader, Mormon-ish, maybe. I don't. They have people that are in the Mormon religion go to like Brigham Young University. There's this whole culture and dynamic to it. I think TV shows sometimes can create cult followings on a very lesser scale, but like there's some shows that I will never watch that people have always watched that you say I've never watched it and they're like, what? Like Game of Thrones?
Yes.
I'm never gonna watch it, guys. I'm never ever gonna watch it.
I've never seen it either, so don't worry.
Yeah. And there's some others, but that they're not coming to my mind right now. But
I feel like Breaking Bad was pretty popular when it came out.
I watched that. Yeah. Definitely watch that. Anything dark, I'm on top of it. But anything to do with like Vikings or wizards, like Harry Potter, no, never. Marvel for me, yes.
Got it. Yeah, and they're very popular and have very big followings.
Yeah, like are you a Slytherin or a
Gryffindor?
Yeah, or a something. Like I don't know. Like that's still common to today. And when was the last Harry Potter movie? People go hard for it.
Yeah. Well, it's a huge franchise, right? Like they have it at the parks now. They have merch. And even the Marvel movies. They come out with a new Marvel movie, a few every year, right? So
facts. But I've outgrown Marvel now. Sorry, Marvel. But yeah.
So, if we've missed anyone, sorry, Krista, is there anything else you would like to add?
I mean, I feel like I could go on forever, but I think that we've done a very good job of rounding up some interesting, most popular type of followings, right?
Yeah. For sure. I think so too. But please tell us if we've missed one, or if you feel like one could potentially be a kind of cult-like following.
What have we missed?
Yeah, please tell us. I want to know. Or do you agree? Do you agree with what we went over? Do you agree with our companies and brands that we chatted about? Probably not, but let us know.
Do you think we're wrong because we have androids?
Absolutely.
Clearly. Everything we've said is obviously wrong, and it's low tech because we are Android users.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's always a good time with you, Miss Sarah, and I enjoy our weekly get-togethers immensely. So, until next week.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.